Hi, and welcome back to another episode of On the Roadcast with your host Connie and myself, Vicky, and our very, very special guest and my dear friend Aaron Mason. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, Vicky and Connie. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here and doing this with us. Aaron, let's start, let's get into the deep end right away. What is your profession? Tell us about what you're doing.
I work for a merchandise company called Easy Partners, and I have my own company called Rock and Roll Manufacturers. And between the two, I focus on music merchandising, touring, licensing, web stores, all the aspects of merchandising.
There's so much to it. People don't even know. They think you guys
Yeah.
sell t-shirts, but the logistics and everything behind it is insane. It's crazy. How much is the paperwork and the sitting on a desk as opposed to the actually being out there and selling things?
Well, that's interesting because I kind of go back and forth between the two jobs. So I have a unique position where I'm actually a road manager, but also an account manager. So I do go out with some of the clients that I manage, and then sometimes I'm just managing and I have other people that are on the road because we all know we can't be in two places at once. And we aren't the people that are booking the tours, so we just have to make it work. And there's always paperwork, pre-production, uh, spreadsheets, everybody's favorite. That part of the job
Cool.
is just as much as actually having to be there in person and do the job.
Especially, I think what people don't really see is that a merch person shows over. You sell the last things, people leave, you pack it, you count, you pack it up, you make sure it's all in the trailer or in the bus or whatever. And then you go back to the bus and you don't start drinking and partying. You sit down and you sit on your computer for another hour or two. Merch people might be the hardest working or the ones who have the longest hours in a day.
I agree. Maybe it rivals like a catering company, but because they start so early, but I'll take that. And yeah, you got to go back and finish your sheet because inquiring minds want to know how the show went. So, and making sure you get it right and the numbers are right. And then the bus is maybe going to start moving. So then you have to contend with a shaky computer, maybe, and maybe Wi-Fi is going to work, maybe it's not. So ideally, you can get your sheet out before the bus starts moving. That's always the goal. But I've also given myself till the next day at noon. This kind of my safe spot. If there's any kind of questions, I want to be able to go back and look at it with fresh eyes in the morning.
We've all been there where you're like sitting on the bus and it's horribly shaken and you're trying to hold down your computer, hold on to the pile of money and five papers at the same time. It's all going everywhere. It's horrible. But you're really good at just as far as I know from being on tour with you, being really good with just getting that shit done before you even go onto the bus. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing. That's something you can do. You don't have to sit around drinking people and trying to count 1 and 12 and whatever together. And yeah, you're really good at that. So I really admire you
Well,
for it. You're
thank
like,
you.
oh,
You were really great at always saying, so what can I do to help you? And so that's always great when you have support and like people that are going to be there to double check your work or whatever you need. So, I mean, I'm all for two merch people on a tour all the time. I think we should make that a real thing.
that's very true. Because like Connie said, I think it's really underestimated, especially on bigger tours, about how much work and work on the back end and work behind the scenes it really is. Like it's a long ass day. So yeah, it's nice to have someone to to support you, I guess. How did you, if you want to share with us, how did you start? in the music business. A lot of our friends ask, or a lot of people that want to start getting into the music business are like, well, what's the best approach, or how did you start? How was the beginning for you? If you want to share that with us, would be
Sure,
super
I would
interested.
love to. So it wasn't like a straight shot into t-shirts at all. But I think I knew pretty early on, like high school years, I started going to shows and was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, is just go to shows for the rest of my life. So my aunt and uncle had a music video show in Portland, Oregon, and I moved there to help them with that. So I started just by doing station IDs. So I'd go to the shows with them and interview the bands from behind the camera, and then basically get them to just say, you're watching this show, and this is this band, and you're watching Bohemia After Dark. And so that really got me into the mix of like starting to go backstage and seeing what that all meant and actually interacting with the artists more. And then I got some internships with record labels. And then I moved to California with one of the record labels. And then I started dating somebody who was a musician, and they wanted me to do their merchandise so I could go on tour with them. And so then I did that for many, many years. And also, I've kind of like sidebarred into other gigs in the industry. I was a production manager at a venue here in Phoenix, where I'm at now. And I did that for like 6 years, which I also in tandem did my merch job. So I was able to, at that time, I was only touring with Blondie. And then I would advance all my shows at the venue. And if I was going to be on tour with Blondie, I would just get somebody to cover the day of show. But I still handled all the advancing. So I had about a good 6 years where I just was touring with just Blondie, but then also managing the venue. So there's always like different ways you can go, I think. What one thing is related to another. I've worked in artist transportation, I've worked in festivals, but for me, like merchandise it's just so ingrained, and now that I've been in it for 20 plus years, like it's kind of second nature. So I do find like the production aspect a little bit more challenging, but merchandise is, for me, it's like it's fun and I know it. So it's my comfort zone for sure.
You have been doing this for a long time then, but do you still enjoy it? Like you said, it's your comfort zone, but do you still find joy in what you're doing? Is it still fun for you, or is it like
I
me?
love traveling, and usually I love the people I'm working with, for the most part. There's always, they're not always, but there can be, people have bad times, or, just don't click personalities. But I love the job. Yes, I still love it.
Do you have certain memories or like one or two that stick out where you're like, this person or that tour was so special just because of that companionship that you have with other people?
I think I feel that a lot, actually. And like with every artist that I'm close with and love touring with, like there's a reason for that. And a lot of it is the people, or the show. First and foremost, the people, and then the show. Blondie was more special to me than I could probably describe, on this. And I toured with them for 17 years. I took 3 years off when I had my son, but came back, and they're like family. That was definitely my close, and I'm still close with everybody, and have, it was more than just being like working for a band, because it actually felt like that family. Yeah, that's
That
what.
is also very interesting fact I didn't know about you, that you had a baby and went back on tour, because that's also not a very common thing, and it is really admirable that you accomplished that.
Thanks. And it's changed a lot, I think, now, like, because he's going to be 17 now. And I used to get this a lot, would be like, oh, who's watching him? Or oh, how do you do that? But also, I'm sitting right next to 5 guys that all have kids, and nobody is asking them. So you're like, oh, what are you doing? It's possible. Yeah.
If you have the right support system, it's possible. And we've talked to other women who were able to pull this off as well. And again, it's admirable and it's something really special. We're road dogs. Can't keep us from the road.
Thank you. Yes.
I thought of a question when we were talking that I really wanted to ask, and now it kind of dropped.
We can come back to it later when you remember, because we still have a bunch of questions that Erin, we ask everyone in our podcast. For example, what was the craziest story that you remember that you've ever experienced on tour?
Okay. This is one of my go-tos. I was touring with a band that did a lot of private jets because they were from festival to festival. That's just kind of the routing was a lot of flights like that. And the lead singer, it was known for kind of being a heavy drinker, also kind of difficult and loud. And the private jets work with, like, the pilot is in charge of the plane and the rules. And all of these flights that we were on leading up to this one flight, the pilots were letting him kind of do whatever he wanted. So he was smoking on the plane, drinking on the plane. And then this night, it was probably 2 a.m. We're leaving, like, I don't know, Norway or something. And he wants to smoke, and the pilot says, I mean, the pilots were being really nice. They left the cockpit open. People were allowed to come in and look while we were flying. And then he just threw a fit, wanted to smoke. The pilot said no. He was basically like pretending like he was going to open the emergency door. And we're like 30,000 feet up. And I'm not a very comfortable flyer anyway. So I think I was just like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. And I didn't quit. But then we had to stop to refuel. And he gets out of the plane and starts smoking right next to where they're refueling. And then the pilot was like, this guy's got to go. But we had that plane booked for like the next 3 flights. And so he was not allowed to get back on the plane. So they had to book him another private charter just for him. And the tour manager ended up going with him. And yeah, that was my craziest, I think.
That's insane. Like, that's such a high risk thing. Like, if somebody, even on like a commercial plane, tried to open the emergency exit or whatever, you would probably be tied down in your seat.
Yeah.
And you would not be able to step on any airplane ever again. Did they actually make it to the shows, or was there like
Yeah.
problems?
Yeah, the shows happened. He was pissed, like,
It's insane.
but that's kind
crazy.
of his thing anyway.
That
so.
is such a narcissist singer thing to do. I'm not bashing all singers, but there's
But
a
most
pattern.
of them.
There's a
it's
pattern.
It's a pattern.
He felt like he was more important than everybody else, for sure.
Well, it's mostly the singers. But even when you said private jets, that's like so far from any touring usually, right? I mean,
Right.
private jets, at what level in your career does a fucking private jet happen? This is some Iron Maiden stuff, you know?
So well,
I mean, Iron Maiden have their own
it's
planes,
not
but
Iron Maiden, but
It was
Oh, I
also
know.
not Blondie.
it was not Blondie.
do you remember the craziest merch item you ever sold? I know there's some crazy stuff out there. And when I give lectures to students or whatever, I try to figure out what was the craziest thing that has ever hit the market and whatever. What do you remember where you were like, are you really gonna try to sell this or what?
This was when I was working at the casino, because as the production manager, you oversee all of the departments. So I was also overseeing the merchandise, and it was for what's like one of those mail review, like Chippendales. It was Chippendales. So you can
No.
They had little necklaces that had like a little vibrator on the necklace.
I was gonna say dildo.
Yeah, I thought so. I really thought before I asked this question, I was like, it's gotta be a dildo or something like that.
On a
No way.
necklace with the
Did
little,
they
yeah.
sell a lot of that? Do you
I
know?
think it was really
Did you keep?
expensive, and they
Did
only
you
had
keep
like one
one?
or two.
Did you keep
Did you?
one?
I did not get it. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting.
That's different. Yeah, I remember Kenny told me that once he sold just as a joke, he told George from Cannibal Corpse, "Hey, I'm gonna oh, give me the hair in your brush from brushing your hair. I'm gonna bag it up. I'm gonna sell it." There's someone who bought that. Like, or
Doing some
yeah,
voodoo shit with George's hair.
Oh, Lord.
probably.
I often
Um,
say whatever, I'll sell anything, almost.
almost, yeah. There's a line at some point. Do you still enjoy going to shows when you're off? Because I know there's people in the music industry, including myself, that are like, back in the day before I started working in the music business, I was like, oh my God, this band is playing, this band is playing. I have to go. I have to see everything. I had big FOMO, and now I'm like, I'm tired, man. I'm just gonna, I don't know.
Yeah,
So, do you still enjoy that? And which concerts do you enjoy? Is there any favorite band?
yeah. I'm really excited about the Viagra Boys. So I just saw them, and that was fun. I like maybe smaller shows. Like I don't want to
Mhm.
wait in the long lines and do the bag checks and that. But I mean, we have to kind of no matter what nowadays. But like club size venues, I like to go to those. I don't want to
Mhm.
go to like an arena show very much unless I'm working or going to see a friend with like special access.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm going to a show tomorrow night. So
Hell
I'm going
yeah.
to
Who
Which
are you
show?
watching
again
tomorrow?
Frank Turner.
Nice.
Oh,
That's gonna be fun. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. I'm already tired thinking about it, but like I'm gonna rally and it's gonna be
Oh,
great.
by the time you're there, you're gonna be hyped up. That's gonna be
Yeah.
great. What are for you? I know that you're touring the US and Europe a lot, right? Have you ever done Asia too?
So I'm doing a full Asia tour in April with Kraftwerk, and we have uh, 4 shows in Japan, and then there's a show in Seoul in Korea, and then we've got a couple shows Hong Kong, Singapore, and somewhere else. Like you can't store everything, but you know. So that's I'm really excited. I haven't done most of these markets, and that's I feel rare these days because I've been 20 years in. So I'm
that's
excited.
amazing. I love Japan and every other place you just named. It's just crazy and exciting, and I'm sure it's also very different because the people are very polite. And that brings me to my next question. What's the most punishing story, the most punishing merch story where someone just wouldn't back off? I don't envy you guys having to deal with certain people at merch. Is there anyone that's like, that was the most painful experience ever?
Yeah, I had a friend witness this. My friend Sal. Um, it was I had like CDs on the table, and then a guy was going, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a CD." And then he was like, "But what is it?" It's a CD. You can look at it. Like, here's the title of it. You can look at the back. You can see what. No, but what is it? And I was like, "Dude, it's a CD. Like, compact disc. It's got music on it." And then he just started going off like, "Oh yeah, like just talking mad smack. Like, you know, you're so old, and what are you even doing here?" Uh, and then I was like, oh my God,
The hell?
Al, you're not even allowed to have this CD anymore. And go write a Yelp review. I don't care. Like, but,
That's insane. That's insane. How old was this person, like approximately?
I would guess 45, old enough to know better, you know?
Honestly, instead of checking our bags when we go to shows, they should check our brains and don't let
Yeah.
people like that
They
in.
should
What
make
the
an IQ
hell?
check. I once had a guy that was in Germany. That was last year. Yeah, it was last year, and it was also at the end of the show. And he came up, and I was like, "Yeah, how may I help you? What can I get you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this item and this item." It was just T-shirts or whatever, nothing like super pricey where you're like, "Oh well, maybe I could do something," and I still won't. But maybe he would expect it that I would kind of give him like a little, like a few bucks off or whatever, which I won't. But he asked for the items. I was like, yeah, the total is like, I don't know, make it $70 or whatever. And he was like, so I'm not going to get a discount. And I said, dude, I'm just here selling the stuff. I'm not giving you any discounts. You don't have to buy it all. You don't even have to buy anything, whatever. He ended up, what did he say? Oh, he called me an asshole in front of his wife. And that was also like, those guys were at an age where you would think they have like some sort of manners or whatever. No manners at all. And yeah, he just called me, he was straight faced and just called me an asshole because I didn't give him a discount. And I was like, I looked at him because in any other situation, I would have given him a piece of my mind, and I just went completely quiet and silent. And then he ended up buying that stuff anyways. But he just wanted to call me an
I
asshole.
probably wouldn't have let him buy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've had people where I was like, I'm not going to sell that to you. You can come back if you know how to talk to another human, like a person, and just act normal. But as long as you have this attitude, don't even get in the line anymore. I've had that too. Like, there's no need to be rude. And I don't walk to Kroger's or Fry's and ask for a discount when I buy two packs of milk or whatever, because I know the milk is gonna cost whatever it costs. There's crazy people out there.
No shirt for you.
No,
Sorry.
I saw that Seinfeld episode last night, the soup episode. No soup for you.
Here's another question for when you're in situations like that. Everyone on tour has their comfort foods. For me lately, it's been a very crisp Coke Zero that kind of keeps me alive during the day if things are stressful. Do you have any like drinks or snacks that you keep at merch? Even if it's a stressful day, you're like, okay, this is gonna calm my nerves. This is my snack.
Cold brew coffee, which is not easy to find in Europe like it is the US. So that I kind of have to deal with what I got to deal with. Apples. Always like to have a good apple nearby. And what else? Oh, I love to do soup in a coffee cup from catering so I can walk around with it, and that's one of my favorite hacks.
Because that's another thing that people don't consider as a merch person. You so often miss catering time. You exactly miss lunch, and then you exactly miss dinner. And you are like, Vicky and me talk a lot when we're on the road. And some days she's just like, no dinner for me tonight. Because it said it's from, I don't know, 5 to 8, but I went there at 7 and it was gone. And you guys really, I mean, that
Remember
was on
that.
the tour that you guys did together, and she
I made a
was
story
so
about
pissed.
it, like, yum, a whole bunch of nothing. I was waiting
Yeah.
for my plate of hot air.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that wasn't good catering anyway, but that's not cool.
that's not cool.
So you got to keep some snacks with you at all times.
And Vicky is really good about keeping snacks and getting people that are helping us snacks. That's so great. And not everybody does that. So it's good to
Well,
take care of your people.
to anyone going on tour with me anytime soon, don't have any expectations for snacks. And don't ask for catering access, okay? Because that's not a thing. And if you're there as a local person, that's not a thing. Anyways, what I wanted to add to your list, Erin, you're super good with the freshly pressed juices.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah, because
it's good to
I think
have.
that's the reason we didn't get sick or sicker than we are or you already were, is because of the fruit juices, the freshly
Yeah.
pressed.
I think that's a really common trend. I think, well, both of my main acts that I'm touring with these days have on the rider in catering, fresh veggies, fruit, and a juicer. So, you know,
I was on a tour this last fall, and Gojira's TM assistant Annika, who, funny enough, grew up in Austria. I have never met anyone on the road other than Vicky and me who grew up in Austria, which is really cool. Shout out Annika. She made ginger shots for the whole crew every day. She had the juice and everything with her. She made that every day. That was
yeah,
really sick.
I love ginger. That's the key item, really. You got to have that for
Very,
your
very gingery shots every day. I
spicy.
really, I think that was the only tour I never really got sick on. And I
There you
think
go.
it's the ginger shots. Aaron, do you have a certain song that you really enjoy, like a go-to tour jam, like the number one song, or like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Life is a Highway for the whole trip or whatever.
I think it changes every tour, and who you're around and jamming with as well. So I don't know that I have a one right now. I've been listening to a lot of Rilo Kiley, which is kind of softer, but I love it. And, Viagra Boys and the Idols are kind of my harder go-tos right now.
Hell
But then
yeah.
I always kind of love just like old classic stuff too. So depends on the
We ha-
mood.
we have a playlist. We call it On the Roadcast Road Songs, and everyone who's ever been on our podcast named one song that we added to the playlist. So you gotta kind of have to choose one now. I know,
Right
tough
now?
decision.
Right now.
Okay, let's go with
On the
sports.
spot.
Sports by Viagra Boys.
Sports by
Perfect.
Viagra Boys, and it's gonna be the outro of our episode.
That's correct. We're gonna use that. Sports by Viagra Boys. I also know that when we were on tour together, you like to listen to the band that I like to call Sleaford and Mums,
But
but
yeah,
it's Sleaford Sons.
well, I just found them on that tour to be fair, so that was new to me when we
Yeah,
were out. But that's a fun song. Yeah, I
it
still like
did.
it.
Yeah, they kind of made the top 40, or I don't know, in the Austrian indie charts, I think. After
Cool.
you told me about them, I was like, oh shit, well, huh,
I
the
gave
more
them the
you
bump.
know.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
It's
did.
so funny how we work in music and we're surrounded by music at all times and everything's about shows and music. But me personally, I'm so behind on new music. The other day I had this conversation about Sabrina Carpenter with someone and I didn't really know who it was and they were like mind blown. And I was like, I can't catch up because when I'm home, I'm like, don't talk to me about music. So it's really interesting. And then a lot of us people on the road just listen to very old stuff.
I do the same thing. I listen to the whole old playlist that I've been listening to for I don't know how many years over and over again. And then there's people in the industry where I'm like, oh, they can't wait for New Music Friday or whatever it is. I'm like, I have never opened that part of Spotify or Apple Music in my whole entire life. I don't even care, man. 90% of that stuff, honestly, I'm probably not even gonna like. It's good to know that it's there and what happens in the evolution of music, if you want to call it that. But it's probably nothing that I will enjoy listening to because I'm at that age where my parents were at some point where they listened to the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and Creedence for the rest of their life, you know? I think you just
This
get
is it.
stuck somewhere.
Whatever you listen to now, this is it.
Whatever you
It's
listen
not,
to as when you were a teenager, I read that it's actually psychologically backed and scientifically backed that the music that you listen to as a teenager is what's gonna form and shape you in some sort of way, and the music that you're probably gonna listen to for the rest of your life, that kind of genre or style or styles. And I'm like, yeah, that's
yeah,
why you
elder
see.
emos. That's what we are.
Exactly. That's why you see old dudes in Eagles shirts from the 70s when they are in their 70s because that's the stuff they listened to when they were young. Yeah, well, so we're forever gonna listen to idols and
Those are
emo
new for
stuff.
me. So I am trying to keep some newer stuff coming, but It's
Well,
the radio, like Spotify and stuff, is good for that because if you pick one song you like, it gives you a bunch of other stuff that maybe you wouldn't have listened to. So
and
That's very
again,
true.
hinting our little On the Roadcast playlist that if you go on Instagram or Facebook, you can just go to the link in the bio that we have, and it's linked to the Spotify playlist and also our other podcast channels. And if you like our podcast, please comment and like it and review it because we're trying to get it back on track and do more and more and more. And Erin, you're kind of the kickoff first guest that we've had on these online episodes because we just started doing them. And it was amazing having you. Thank you so much for all the insight on the touring and merch managing.
well, thanks for having me. It was fun to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out with you in real life again. Hopefully on tour.
I know, at least one night.
We gotta get something going here.
You know,
Like,
one day I'll just organize a convention. It's not a tour stop, it's not a show. I'll just do the Road People convention where all the people we keep saying to, I hope I'll meet you again soon on the road, blah, blah, blah. We just all come together in a big convention center and have a party. That's
I
what I
love
want.
that. You
Yeah.
can plan on this until we have our next episode.
Okay,
Okay.
Just make it happen.
I'll post dates and everything.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Erin, for taking your time. And yeah, we'll see all of you guys hopefully very soon with a new guest. And check out our older episodes. We have quite a bunch of episodes with all different kinds of people from the touring and music industry, band people, crew people, everybody you can imagine. So check them out and leave a thumbs up and a comment if you want to. And give us a follow on our social media channels. Thank you guys for watching and see you next time.
Sports. Sports.